دعاء الافتتاح.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إني أفتتح الثناء بحمدك، وأنت مسدد للصواب بمنك، وأيقنت أنك أنت أرحم الراحمين في موضع العفو والرحمة، وأشد المعاقبين في موضع النكال والنقمة، وأعظم المتجبرين في موضع الكبرياء والعظمة. اللهم أذنت لي في دعائك ومسألتك فاسمع يا سميع مدحتي، وأجب يا رحيم دعوتي، وأقل يا غفور عثرتي. فكم يا إلهي من كربة قد فرجتها، وهموم قد كشفتها، وعثرة قد أقلتها، ورحمة قد نشرتها، وحلقة بلاء قد فككتها. الحمد لله الذي لم يتخذ صاحبة ولا ولدا، ولم يكن له شريك في الملك، ولم يكن له ولي من الذل، وكبره تكبيرا. الحمد لله بجميع محامده كلها، على جميع نعمه كلها. الحمد لله الذي لا مضاد له في ملكه، ولا منازع له في أمره. الحمد لله الذي لا شريك له في خلقه، ولا شبيه له في عظمته. الحمد لله الفاشي في الخلق أمره وحمده، الظاهر بالكرم مجده، الباسط بالجود يده، الذي لا تنقص خزائنه ولا تزيده كثرة العطاء إلا جودا وكرما. إنه هو العزيز الوهاب. اللهم إني أسألك قليلا من كثير، مع حاجة بي إليه عظيمة، وغناك عنه قديم، وهو عندي كثير، وهو عليك سهل يسير. اللهم إن عفوك عن ذنبي، وتجاوزك عن خطيئتي، وصفحك عن ظلمي، وسترك على قبيح عملي، وحلمك عن كثير جرمي، عندما كان من خطئي وعمدي أطمعني في أن أسألك ما لا أستوجبه منك، الذي رزقتني من رحمتك، وأريتني من قدرتك، وعرفتني من إجابتك، فصرت أدعوك آمنا، وأسألك مستأنسا، لا خائفا ولا وجلا، مدلا عليك فيما قصدت فيه إليك. فإن أبطأ عني عتبت بجهلي عليك، ولعل الذي أبطأ عني هو خير لي لعلمك بعاقبة الأمور. فلم أر مولا كريما أصبر على عبد لئيم منك علي يا رب. إنك تدعوني فأولي عنك، وتتحبب إلي فأتبغض إليك، وتتودد إلي فلا أقبل منك، كأن لي التطول عليك، فلم يمنعك ذلك من الرحمة لي والإحسان إلي والتفضل علي بجودك وكرمك، فارحم عبدك الجاهل وجد عليه بفضل إحسانك، إنك جواد كريم. الحمد لله مالك الملك مجري الفلك مسخر الرياح فالق الإصباح ديان الدين رب العالمين. الحمد لله على حلمه بعد علمه، والحمد لله على عفوه بعد قدرته، والحمد لله على طول أناته في غضبه، وهو قادر على ما يريد. الحمد لله خالق الخلق باسط الرزق فالق الإصباح ذي الجلال والإكرام والفضل والإنعام، الذي بعد فلا يرى وقرب فشهد النجوى تبارك وتعالى. الحمد لله الذي ليس له منازع يعادله ولا شبيه يشاكله ولا ظهير يعاضده، قهر بعزته الأعزاء وتواضع لعظمته العظماء، فبلغ بقدرته ما يشاء. الحمد لله الذي يجيبني حين أنادي ويستر علي كل عورة وأنا أعصي، ويعظم النعمة علي فلا أجازي. فكم من موهبة هنيئة قد أعطاني، وعظيمة مخوفة قد كفاني، وبهجة مونقة قد أراني، فأثني عليه حامدا وأذكره مسبحا. الحمد لله الذي لا يهتك حجابه ولا يغلق بابه ولا يرد سائله ولا يخيب آمله. الحمد لله الذي يؤمن الخائفين وينجي الصالحين ويرفع المستضعفين ويضع المستكبرين ويهلك ملوكا ويستخلف آخرين. والحمد لله قاصم الجبارين مبير الظالمين مدرك الهاربين نكال الظالمين صريخ المستصرخين موضع حاجات الطالبين معتمد المؤمنين. الحمد لله الذي من خشيته ترعد السماء وسكانها، وترجف الأرض وعمارها، وتموج البحار ومن يسبح في غمراتها. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. الحمد لله الذي يخلق ولم يخلق، ويرزق ولا يرزق، ويطعم ولا يطعم، ويميت الأحياء ويحيي الموتى وهو حي لا يموت، بيده الخير وهو على كل شيء قدير. اللهم صل على محمد عبدك ورسولك وأمينك وصفيك وحبيبك وخيرتك من خلقك، وحافظ سرك ومبلغ رسالاتك، أفضل وأحسن وأجمل وأكمل وأزكى وأنمى وأطيب وأطهر وأسنى وأكثر ما صليت وباركت وترحمت وتحننت وسلمت على أحد من عبادك وأنبيائك ورسلك وصفوتك وأهل الكرامة عليك من خلقك. اللهم وصل على علي أمير المؤمنين ووصي رسول رب العالمين، عبدك ووليك وأخي رسولك وحجتك على خلقك وآيتك الكبرى والنبأ العظيم. وصل على الصديقة الطاهرة فاطمة سيدة نساء العالمين. وصل على سبطي الرحمة وإمامي الهدى الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة. وصل على أئمة المسلمين علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والخلف الهادي المهدي. حججك على عبادك وأمنائك في بلادك صلاة كثيرة دائمة. اللهم وصل على ولي أمرك القائم المؤمل والعدل المنتظر وحفه بملائكتك المقربين وأيده بروح القدس يا رب العالمين. اللهم اجعله الداعي إلى كتابك والقائم بدينك، استخلفه في الأرض كما استخلفت الذين من قبله، مكن له دينه الذي ارتضيته له، أبدله من بعد خوفه أمنا يعبدك لا يشرك بك شيئا. اللهم أعزه وأعزز به، وانصره وانتصر به، وانصره نصرا عزيزا، وافتح له فتحا يسيرا، واجعل له من لدنك سلطانا نصيرا. اللهم أظهر به دينك وسنة نبيك حتى لا يستخفي بشيء من الحق مخافة أحد من الخلق. اللهم إنا نرغب إليك في دولة كريمة تعز بها الإسلام وأهله، وتذل بها النفاق وأهله، وتجعلنا فيها من الدعاة إلى طاعتك والقادة إلى سبيلك، وترزقنا بها كرامة الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم ما عرفتنا من الحق فحملنا، وما قصرنا عنه فبلغنا. اللهم المم به شعثنا، واشعب به صدعنا، وارتق به فتقنا، وكثر به قلتنا، وأعزز به ذلتنا، وأغن به عائلنا، واقض به عن مغرمنا، واجبر به فقرنا، وسد به خلتنا، ويسر به عسرنا، وبيض به وجوهنا، وفك به أسرنا، وأنجح به طلبتنا، وأنجز به مواعيدنا، واستجب به دعوتنا، وأعطنا به سؤلنا، وبلغنا به من الدنيا والآخرة آمالنا، وأعطنا به فوق رغبتنا يا خير المسؤولين وأوسع المعطين. اشفي به صدورنا، وأذهب به غيظ قلوبنا، واهدنا به لما اختلف فيه من الحق بإذنك، إنك تهدي من تشاء إلى صراط مستقيم. وانصرنا به على عدوك وعدونا إله الحق آمين. اللهم إنا نشكو إليك فقد نبينا صلواتك عليه وآله، وغيبة ولينا، وكثرة عدونا، وقلة عددنا، وشدة الفتن بنا، وتظاهر الزمان علينا. فصل على محمد وآله، وأعنا على ذلك بفتح منك تعجله، وبضر تكشفه، ونصر تعزه، وسلطان حق تظهره، ورحمة منك تجللناها، وعافية منك تلبسناها، برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغ مدحته القائلون، ولا يحصي نعماءه العادون، ولا يؤدي حقه المجتهدون، الذي لا يدركه بعد الحمم، ولا يناله غوص الفطن. ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، حبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وشفيع ذنوبنا، سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم، وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين، لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين، صاحب العصر والزمان، خليفة الرحمن إمام الإنس والجان، ولعن الله وأعداهم أجمعين إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله وقوله الحق. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان. صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. The life and lessons of Nabi Sulayman alayhi salam has been our ongoing discussion. Tonight is lecture number 8. Previously on the life and lessons of Nabi Sulayman, we got to a point now where Nabi Sulayman, his entourage now, they've gone to Mecca. They had their encounter with the Valley of the Ants. They did the Hajj rituals. He's all set to go home, and some believe that he is already at home. And no, in fact, the belief is that he's leaving Mecca now, and the legion of birds now that accompany him, they act as a shade for him. So the sun does not bother him. So they are in this formation perfectly aligned, such that the sun never hits Nabi Sulayman. Now on his way back home from Mecca, he feels the heat and the ray of the sun, looks up to the formation of the birds, and realizes the sun is, cracking through the formation because there's a bird that's missing. And that bird is the bird that's known as hudhud. Okay? Or, in the species of birds, it's known as, some pronounce it as hoopie, some say it's a hoopoe, Hoopoe. If you Google that, you'll know it's a colorful bird that is found in Europe, Asia, Northern Africa. And this was a very special bird in the legion of birds of Nabi Sulayman. There's some discussion about him having a specific role and this and that. But the fact that Nabi Sulayman was able to recognize that one member of his entourage was missing really showed how involved of a king he was. He wasn't oblivious to anybody. He knew exactly where each person was and should be, and when they're not in their place, it's very obvious to him. So my point is he was a very hands-on, practical, involved, present king. Okay? Sometimes when you think about royalty and those kings, they don't give importance to the animals or the peasants or the ones that are less than him. But not Prophet Sulayman. This was that prophet that's very much in tune with his entourage and those around him. Very sensitive towards it, and of course upholding their rights. But he's missing a bird. Okay? Now where's Hudhud? Hudhud, the way the books describe him, he's one of those very curious birds, right? You always have those people, when you're part of a larger group that kind of ventures off into the distance. It's like, dude, we're going this way. Can you just kind of make sure you stay with the group? So he was a kind of bird that would kind of venture off. And so during the Hajj rituals, he went sightseeing and found himself near a place in Yemen where he meets up with another hoopoe, another bird like him. Okay. Now the name that some of the books tell us of Hudhud was Jafri. Okay. And the bird that he met was Antiq. Okay. And that was his name. So now, Antiq sees this bird just like him, same species, of course, and naturally now they kind of gravitate towards each other and they start asking questions. Where are you from? Where are you from? So he asks, he asks Hudhud, where are you from? Antiq is asking Jafri, where are you from? He said, well, I come from the kingdom of Solomon, the kingdom of Sulayman, my prophet and my king. And he's like, who Antiq says, who is that? Like, he says, who is that? He is the, prophet of God, the king of men, the king of jinn, the king of animals. He has this massive palace there in Jerusalem. And then Hudhud asks Antiq, where am I right now? Where is this place that I'm at? Like, who? He's like, you're in a place called Sheba. And Saba back then was the capital of Yemen. Yemen was and still is today, it always has been historically, a very beautiful area of land. Very coastal, very resourceful, some say palm trees. Just a gorgeous landscape in Yemen. And he says that here I have a queen. And the queen now runs the kingdom. And the queen's name is Bilqis. And, it sounds like she has the same size of kingdom that you have. Do you want to go see her kingdom? Now Hudhud says, look, I'm sure he's looking for me right now. I don't know, maybe I want to go, I should go back to join him, right? And then Antik says, look, I'm sure that he wouldn't mind that, you've come and you visited this kingdom. Maybe you can go back and kind of tell him what you saw. It was okay. So he ventures into Saba, into Sheba, right? And begins to see this enormous, beautiful, beautiful kingdom led by a woman named Bilqis. Now, in the Christian scriptures, they don't give her a name. They refer to her as the Queen of Sheba. Sheba, or Saba as it's referred to in Arabic, again, like I said, is the capital of Yemen. Okay? But in the Quran, they refer to her as Bilqis. Now, she is described as an Ethiopian queen, right? So she's of Ethiopian descent as far as the research goes. Hudhud now sees his kingdom, and his eyes now fixate towards one specific area in the kingdom, and he's taken back by it. Something he's never seen before. What he sees now is what appeared to be this statue-like figure that would resemble the sun. And he would see the people of this kingdom now bowing down and doing sajda in front of this statue. He looks at this phenomenon and he's shocked. He's puzzled. Like, asking himself, what are they doing? And his first thought was that Prophet Sulayman has to know. Meanwhile, back in the kingdom of Nabi Sulayman, there seems to be this confusion. What happened to Hudhud? And, because the fact that there's no answers, there's a high level of frustration. And Nabi Sulayman now summons the falcon. A falcon was the leader of all the birds. He says, look, where is Hudhud? How come you have no idea where Hudhud is? He says, look, I don't know where he is. I didn't assign him to any role. He should be here. I have no idea where he is. Let me find out for you. Summons the eagle now. He goes, eagle, go up to the sky, go way up to the sky, scour the area, see if you can find Hudhud, report back to me. He goes, okay. So eagle now flies up to the sky, looks up. In the distance now he sees who? He sees Hudhud. Blazing speed coming back to the kingdom of Sulayman. He intercepts him. He goes, whoa, not that simple. What are you doing? Do you know how much trouble you're in? You can't just take off like that. I'm paraphrasing, of course. You can't just leave like that. I mean, you've made him somewhat angry, right? And then he tries to get a feel for, how sometimes, when a parent is upset at one child and the other, and then that child who knows that the parent is upset, reads the situation and says, ask his siblings or his, somebody in the house, come here. How mad is mom? Is mom really mad? Is she furious? That's what he did, right? He goes, look, tell me, what's the situation? Is it bad? Am I going to get the beats? What's going on? He goes, yeah, he's upset. He told me basically there's going to be a severe punishment for you if you don't have a proper excuse. If you can't explain your behavior, there's going to be a problem. He was perfect. I can explain myself. Trust me. What I know, he has to know. And so he arrives in the presence of Nabi Sulayman. And you could see the anger in his face. Now he has to calm him down, right? Before he starts anything. So he says something. Sometimes, sometimes you know exactly what to say to a person to kind of calm him down, right? So Hudhud says to him, Prophet Sulayman, let me remind you of that day where you will stand in front of your Lord begging him for his mercy. I ask you for that same mercy right now. And oh man, he went there, right? He went towards God. So right away now, his anger kind of subsides. Otherwise, this is a kingdom, right? Every person has to now, every creation, every member of the entourage has to now be able to be exactly where they are. Otherwise, there's going to be a problem. So unless you have an excuse as to why you're not at your post, there's accountability. There has to be accountability. He's running a very, very tight ship here. Kingdoms are always subject to all sorts of attacks of the enemies. Anyways, he says, to grab his attention right away, he says, I just came across some information that not even you know. Nabi Sulayman says, well, not even I know. No, not even I know. Right? And he tells them about this place called Sheba. Describes the place, describes his whole experience, and tells them about this queen of Bilqis and how the people of that kingdom now were doing what? Were prostrating in front of a statue that resembled the sun. Essentially, idol worshipping. Now, let's keep in mind for a moment now. It's important that you guys understand this, and then we'll get to a few of the verses, and then we'll see how far we get from there. Keep in mind now the role and the job of a prophet of God is not just to ensure that his worship and his faith remain strong. It's to make sure that, he establishes God's government on this earth, that he becomes a vicegerent, a representative, a hujjat of God, a proof of God on this earth, which means that where he sees wrong being done, it's almost wajib, an obligation on him to point it out and to confront it. So obviously this news of this entire now kingdom, forget a few people, a kingdom, worshipping an idol or a statue per se, not worshipping God, piqued his interest. Now he had to do something. Something had to be done. And before we get there, let's go through a few of the verses of this incident. Okay? Now, from here on in, from now until the end of the lectures, we'll be looking at Surah Namal. Okay? Verses 20 all the way down to, I think, about 45 or 44 or so. I'll let you know. Bit by bit, okay? This story of the Queen of Sheba and, how Nabi Sulayman now handles this issue, all of it will be dissected bit by bit, guys, verses by verses. And where I deem fit, I'm going to stop and extract a practical lesson for us to apply. Hopefully you'll be okay with that, but we're not going to be in a hurry. This is one of the most important stories in the Quran, and one that a lot of you have heard before, but let's look at it through the lens of the Quran and the lens as a narration, inshallah. Okay, so let's open up the Quran with me, please. Inshallah you guys are with me. Chapter number 27, the chapter of the ants, Surah Namal. Verses 20 to 27. Okay? Okay? All right. So let's begin. Let's go a little bit, bit by bit. Verse number 20. Now, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This is now where he reviews the birds. Okay? He reviews the birds and sees, okay, something is not right. Right? He says, or describing the idea that, وَتَفَقَّدَ الطَّيْرَ فَقَالَ مَا لِيَ لَا أَرَى الْحُدْحُدَى. Look at his approach now. It's a very nice approach, okay? Although some of these verses might present him to be a little bit harsh as a king, this first statement, and I want you to understand the minute small points of akhlaq here, okay, that the Quran points out, okay? ما لي لا أرى الحدحد أم كان من الغائبين. Okay, because the first question he asks is, how is it that I don't see Hudhud? I don't see him. Like, is it possible that I don't see him, or is it possible that he's gone? He's not here. Look at the approach. He doesn't say, "Where's Hudhud?" No, he says, "Wait a second. Maybe he's here, but maybe I don't see him." Right? So right away, he doesn't jump to conclusions. He takes it upon himself that maybe I'm the problem here. Right? Maybe it's me. مَا لِيَ لَا أَرَى الْحُدْحُدَى. Maybe I can't see him. Then when he looks around properly, up and down the formation between everybody else, then he says, okay, maybe now amkana min al-ghaibin, maybe now he's absent, right? We're quick to judge, we're quick to point out, we're quick to blame. Wait a second, maybe the fault is on yours. Thoroughly investigate, look properly. If there's still a problem after looking properly, then jump to the second conclusion, right? Again, showing his humbleness, right? There's no ego there. He's not screaming, where is my bird? No. Okay, wait a second, let's look around. Something that's not right, this and that. Okay? Verse number 20. Where is he? Okay? And then he gets a little bit upset, and he's the king, right? The king has to kind of, show his authority, right? And then he announces that, there's three options now. There's three options now for this bird, right? لَأُذِبَنَّهُ الْعَذَابًا شَدِيدًا أو لأذبحنه أو ليأتيني بسلطان مبين. Okay, most certainly I'm going to punish him with a severe punishment, right? I'll kill him, unless of course he's able to bring a clear plea to me, sultanun mubin, like able to basically explain his absence. Okay, now you might think, well, that's quite cruel of a prophet. How is it possible that he could use such words? Remember, he's a king. There has to be law and order. There has to be authority now. Okay, and if we want to believe what we believe in the prophets having this special knowledge, he knew that Hudhud had an excuse. He was a very, very submissive bird. He had a very special rank inside of the kingdom of Nabi Sulayman, right? That's why him gone missing, it's almost as if it concerned Nabi Sulayman, right? Otherwise, this reaction of a bird missing from a massive entourage may not be a normal reaction. You'll think, look, Prophet of God, you have several birds, man. One guy goes missing, it's okay, but there's something about Hudhud that really kind of triggered this. And this is where that eagle says to Hudhud, look, you better have a good excuse, otherwise there's going to be a problem for you. And then the very next verse is verse number 22 of Surah Naml. That's when Hudhud now begins to tell him that, look, I have come to know something that I don't think you even know, and this is stuff that you have to know from a place called Sheba, okay, or Saba as is known in the Arabic tradition, right? So, and he tarried not long, then he said, فَقَالَ أَحَطُّ بِمَا لَمْ تُحِطْ, I have news, or I comprehend things that not even you know. بِهِ وَجِئْتُكَ مِنْ سَبَاءٍ, I bring to you what? بِنَبَعٍ يَقِينٍ. Naba is big news, right? From where? مِنْ سَبَاءٍ, from this place called Sabah. This place called Sheba, the capital of Yemen back then, right? It's yaqeen, it's legit information. This is not hearsay. I've seen it with my own eyes. I was there. Oh, I love this story, man. This is so nice. And he's like, okay, what did you find? Inni wajadtum amra'atan tamlikahum wa utiyat min kulli shay'in وَلَهَا عَرْشٌ عَظِيمٌ. Now he says, look, I found a woman there. There's a woman there who was what? Tamlikuhum. She was ruling. She had this mulk. She had this kingdom. She was ruling over all of them. Tamlikuhum. Hum is a pronoun that denotes a large group or a plural group. So here the Quran is saying it's what? It's amra'atan, a woman who is governing or leading over the entirety of Sabah. She's been given everything. I mean, that's a beautiful kingdom. One of the examples that Hudhud gives, the Quran says that when you say min kulli shay, like Tafsir Allama Tabatabai in his Mizan says about this verse, that when you say min kulli shay, that means everything was given to Sheba, to Bilqis. One of the examples that Hudhud uses was this arish, this throne that's beautiful. It's a beautiful throne. And now he's speaking, the more he's talking, the more Nabi Sulayman, is interested. And then he says, وَجَدْتُهَا وَقَوْمَهَا يَسْجُدُونَ لِلشَّمْسِ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ. Oh. He says, I found her and her people. وَجَدْتُهَا, her, وَقَوْمَهَا, and her nation. Doing what? يَسْجُدُونَ, doing sujood, prostrating where? لِشَمْسِ, doing it for the sun. مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ. This is something that is, instead of Allah, they're worshiping the sun. And look at what, what's added as a little bit of a bracket now. Very, very important. وَزَيَّنَ لَهُمُ الشَّيْطَانُ أَعْمَالَهُم. And it appeared as if Shaitan now had infiltrated them and made their deeds beautiful to them. Meaning what? They actually believed that what we're doing was right. Look at the way that the description there in the Quran is, right? وَزَيَّنَ, zinat. It's made to look beautiful. There are moments where people who believe that they believe, I'm on the path of God, I'm godly, I'm God conscious, and they live a horrible life, and they've convinced themselves through Shaitan's infiltration that not only do I live a nice life, I live a beautiful life, I'm a good person, Moulana. Meanwhile, you're a horrible human being to your family. How many men do I see in the centers, in the masajid, in the maraqiz, in all these communities, front row, right behind the Imam Jamaat, du'a kumail, if you don't have an alam to speak, this guy will fill a half an hour in, no problem. He waits on the side, he can't wait. Nice big beard, little bit of a scar from sajda on his forehead, right? Holding a tasbih, always wearing a hat. Oh my goodness, beautiful, right? He believes himself to be pious. Never miss one fast. Namaz shab, the whole nine. You talk to his family, he's a tyrant inside the home. He's Saddam, he's Fir'aun, he's a pharaoh inside the home. But you ask him, he's a man of God. He's a man of God. He's been fooled by Shaitan. It's exactly how this incident was described. We have to be very careful. Shaitan has an amazing, amazing impact on us. When I say amazing, I mean very powerful in the sense that even, the most obvious, horrible things that we do, we somehow justify. I did that, but you know why I did that? And all of a sudden now, justify. And the moment you justify it, or the moment you minimize something that's wrong, it becomes maximized in the eyes of God. And the first thing we try to do is we try to tell ourselves, I'm not as bad as what I did. I did it for another reason. وَزَيَّنَ لَهُمُ الشَّيْطَانُ أَعْمَالَهُمْ فَصَدَّهُمْ عَنِ السَّبِيلِ فَهُمْ لَا يَهْتَدُونَ. And the Shaitan has made their deeds fair seeming to them and thus turned them away from the way so they do not go aright. Convincing them that, look, what you're doing is right. Keep doing sajda to the sun. Keep praying to that statue. Don't pray to God. Keep doing that. Keep doing that. You're doing great. You're doing right. It feels great. It feels right. Yeah. No, this dua that I constantly talk about from Surah Ali Imran verse number 8 reminds me of this moment, The dua is رَبَّنَا لَا تُزِغْ قُلُوبَنَا بَعْدَ إِذْ هَدَيْتَنَا. Okay? Oh Allah, do not allow zigh to enter my heart after you've already guided us. There's already guidance in my heart, but still, the Quran says it's still possible for you to be misguided, for me to be misguided. So we beg Allah, Rabbana la tuzigh. Now, zigh is a beautiful, beautiful concept. The idea that a person who is deviating without them knowing that they're deviating. It's very scary. In the books of Quranic linguistics, like books like Al-Mufradat of Raghib Isfahani, other books, they talk about zigh in light of a grave digger. The role of a grave digger is to dig a perfect rectangle, right? With, two equal sides, essentially. Now I want you to imagine while he is digging, three sides are perfectly square or straight. The fourth side is curved. So it's a grave that looks like this, boom, boom, and then a curve. Now he thinks while he's digging, this is going to be a perfect rectangle, perfect grave, blah, 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 this and that. Comes out of the grave, now looks at it, and one side looks like a C, like a curve. He had no idea he was going off. He thought he was going straight. That's zigh. These are people that shaitan has infiltrated, made to feel like what you're doing not only is right, but it's beautiful. And sometimes he does that to us as well. Got to be a little bit careful. Okay? And then, to kind of further along the point in verse number 25, the Quran says, أَلَّا يَسْجُدُ لِلَّهِ الَّذِي يُخْرِجُ الْخَبْعَ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. They don't make sajda to God. Who's God? That God who brings forth what is hidden in the heavens and the earth. Right? وَيَعْلَمُ مَا تُخْفُونَ وَمَا تُعْلِنُونَ. And he knows what is hidden and he knows what is manifest. Okay? And I'm going to skip the next verse because it's there's a mustahab sajda in it. And verse number 27 is where I'll go. Now, Nabi Sulayman hears this. Obviously he's intrigued. There is a place not too far from here now. I mean, how far is Yemen from Palestine? Where this is going on now. But I don't know if he completely trusts the account of the bird. It seems as if, from his question, that maybe there's a little bit of doubt in terms of, what this bird, what Hudhud now saw. He says, okay, let's see if you have told me the truth. Qala now, Qala is, he said. Who is he here? Nabi Sulayman now says to Hudhud, Qala, right? Sananzurul asadaqta, sorry. Let's see now, right, whether or not you're telling the truth. Am kunta min al-kadhibin, or maybe you're, not that you're a liar, but maybe now you've missed some things, or maybe you saw things that were, that were different. Or maybe you're saying all this just to cover yourself up, to avoid punishment. Who knows? He has to now make sure that what he's being told is accurate. Okay? So what does he do? What does he do? How does he test this bird now to make sure that what he does is accurate? The very next thing that he does is that I will tell you that tomorrow night, inshallah. Oh, I love doing it to you guys. So we will find out tomorrow night how now Nabi Sulayman is making sure that this is right, not a lie, him cover up the story. Let's find out. Is there really a place called Saba? Is there really a place, a kingdom that's ruled by a woman named Bilqis? If so, how does he test this story? We'll find that out tomorrow night, inshallah. Stay well, stay safe. We'll see you tomorrow night. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.